Hey, we're going to go into a good one today, something called short foot activation. This is so key. It seems so minimal, but this is the start of proper movement. This is really the start of proper bracing of your core. We use that word so much, core, turn on the core, do this, do that. People think it's just the abs, the rectus abdomini in the front. It really starts with the foot. The foot is the base of this right there. And if you're going to perform any movement, whether it's just walking, running, any type of movement like an air squat or a lift, a squat or a deadlift, anything like that, exercises like single leg balance, all of these begin with properly turning on the foot to start. Short foot activation. We're talking about turning on the foot intentionally, consciously doing it in order to strengthen that arch, which makes it a good remedy for things like plantar fasciitis, ankle instability. As long as that foot is turned on and stable, you are creating stability all the way up the chain. The foot is the only thing that comes in contact with the ground, us being bipedal beings. It's the only thing that touches the ground, so we better be getting the proper information input in and sending the proper information back out, but also it better be a strong, sturdy contact point. So what we want to do is make sure we know what we're doing, and through repetition you can start to do this. You'll start to do this subconsciously without thinking, but it takes that repetition first. Short foot activation, intrinsic muscles of the foot, which are the small muscles on the side of the leg that come down and power that foot. Again, a good remedy for stability and up. What we want to do is, forgive me, this is going to be a photo shoot with the foot. We're going to come down here and show you what we're talking about. So what we're talking about before we do anything, whether it's a single leg balance, whether it is any type of movement where we're standing on one foot, even if we're doing 2 feet like a squat or a deadlift, you want to stand with your feet straight ahead and you want to splay the toes. This is why those tight shoes can be a problem. Toe spacers actually can be a good thing. You want to try to splay the toes. Spread them out as much as possible. Almost so they're like this, you can grip the floor. Essentially, that's what we want to do. Once you're in that position, you'll see short foot activation. I'm standing here, my foot's relaxed. Okay, short foot activation, what I'm going to do, I'm going to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ultimately, most force coming from this big toe, driving that big toe into the ground. You'll see when you do that, when you drive this big toe into the ground and somewhat grip the ground with your toes, you're creating more of an arch. You're strengthening this arch right here, a common spot of irritation, plantar fasciitis. When I grip like this, I'm strengthening that arch. I'm also creating more stability in the foot. Anytime you're doing any type of one-legged exercise or balance work or anything like that, you want to turn this puppy on first. So you'll see, you come down, okay, short foot activation, going from the small toe to the big toe, slightly turn it on. You don't have to grip the heck out of the ground like you're trying to squeeze as hard as possible, but we'll say about 20% contraction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, big toe on the end. If you need a review of this, we want to get control of our big toe right here. Check back on our toe yoga video in the past, the smart muscle. So we want to get that big toe, drive that into the ground. Once that big toe's in the ground, now you can do your work. You can swing this leg around, do anything you need to do with that, but you're also creating stability from the ground up. Once you have that stability and you're gripping right there, due to the soft tissue connections and the fascial connections in the body, this actually also causes contraction in your pelvic floor, which actually also causes contraction in your diaphragm, and then even up to the roof of your mouth. That's a little trick for you right there. Try it out next time. If you find you're having some imbalance or instability, press your tongue into the roof of your mouth, your palate, your upper palate right there. Fascial connections in the body. Everything's connected. It's fascinating. You drive this into the ground, you feel you tightening in the core 360 degrees, and you drive that tongue into the roof of your mouth, you might find you have more stability. It makes sense. It's all connected. The other thing to think about this, taking it one step further, is when we walk. When you walk or when you run, start to be a little bit more mindful and conscious of that. When you're landing each time, we want to come down and almost engage in a short foot activation each time. So when I'm coming down, whether I heel strike, whether I'm a mid-foot strike, when you come down, you're coming down and think about it again. You want to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it. Healthy pronation. The foot's coming in and pronating. You don't want to stay on the outside of that foot. You want to come in, short foot activation to where you're gripping the ground. A little bit of healthy pronation helps you absorb some of those impact forces from the ground and better distribute them. Rather than if you're keeping your foot rigid and just pounding, that's when you start to get the impact injuries, the shin splints, the IT band syndrome, things like that. You come down, you think about it, you have to slow down the gait, slow down the walk, slow down the run, but you think about it nice and slow, cognizantly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm gripping the ground. Short foot activation, and now I'm transitioning. Short foot activation, and now I'm going forward. When you go forward, you're driving this big toe into the ground and your foot into plantar flexion. That's what this is, plantar flexion. Listen to why this is important too. My foot comes down in a slightly supinated stance, which means I'm on the outside edge. I'm slowly rolling in, not overpronating, healthy pronation, driving this big foot into the ground. When I do that, I'm going into plantar flexion. When I do this, plantar flexion. Why is that key? That's key because when you go into plantar flexion, you put the foot back into supination. That rolls this bone right here, the fibula, out. When that fibula rolls out, all of a sudden, it also takes this hip and externally rotates the hip. That drives that into the sacrum, into the center of your spine, the base right here in your pelvis, which your spine sits on. So simply from doing that, coming down properly and toeing off, going into plantar flexion, I'm rolling this out. I'm rolling that out, and I'm creating more stability in my pelvis and everything else going forward right there, creating more power in your push-off with that big toe, more power and more stability in your base, and making it more safe to walk and run and do everything you need to do. But it all starts with that short foot activation. Practice it just in a single stance position, just standing there, going up into a single leg balance. Don't just do the single leg balance. Before you do a single leg balance, short foot activation first. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Strongest contraction with that big toe. Grip the ground. Grip the ground. Feel the arch. Feel the contraction in the arch and hold. Relax. Repeat. Get used to doing that. Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Get used to doing that. And then you can start to incorporate it into your run and your walk, and you'll feel the stability, and you'll engage the whole entire body, all starting with the foot. Get to work.